What the show is on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our fifth show of the year. I think, I don't know, we're up to like 14 or 15 episodes overall. And we're keeping this train rolling along. How's everyone doing tonight?
It's fun.
Doing fantastic.
Doing great.
Got the Mets shirt out. Ready.
Islanders Empire going here.
Sports.
Representing the Florida Gators this evening for sports movies.
And I've also got my Mets wine glass.
Ooh.
So yeah, we're good to go. With the
AJ, where is your sports representation this evening?
I pass.
People wore Newsies hats to baseball games in the past. That's my correlation. No one can tell me I'm wrong.
Well, with the big game this weekend, we decided
big game, because we're not broadcasting it here on What the Show, so we have to call it the big game.
Yep. Big game this weekend. We figured this would be a perfect time to talk sports movies, but we actually had a pretty big sports trailer drop past weekend. So we're going to get our long-awaited Mighty Ducks TV show. So everybody got a chance to see that trailer?
Oh, yeah.
I did not.
Juice.
Come on, juice. I am excited for it because, as we'll be discussing later this evening, I'm a big Mighty Ducks fan. I also love Lauren Graham because I'm a big Gilmore Girls fan. I always said that I thought I was a lot like Lorelai Gilmore because I also could live and breathe off of coffee. That being said, I mean, I get that it is a Disney Plus show and this is made for the family. And obviously when I was a child, I watched the Mighty Ducks and that is why I have such a love for it. But I'm a little, I'm gonna wait and see it. I'm excited for it, but it's not something that I was like, man, how to set an alarm for the moment that drops to watch it at 3 a.m.
I'm a little bit optimistic, but because again, the first movie is wonderful. The second two have a lot of flaws, but just seeing Emilio back, but I'm afraid that it's not going to have enough of Emilio. That's my biggest little concern based on what we saw, especially that he's not even the highest build on this. It's Lauren Graham build first. And I like the idea of, doing a modern take on it. They're kind of going the Cobra Kai route, it looks like, where the Ducks look like they're, the team that's the Hawks of the original movie. But, jury's out. I'll give it a shot. What's it going to hurt? It's Disney Plus. But I know AJ's got
Here's the problem with it, though, is that if you go the Cobra Kai route with everything, then it's not the Cobra Kai route anymore. It's the same kind of problem that we see with every single reboot that comes through. I can tell you exactly what Emilio Estevez has said in every interview, even though I haven't seen a single Emilio Estevez interview on it. I would have never come back unless the script was right and they continued the story in a meaningful way. If you say that so many times, it loses meaning. This is going to be something where it's empty. It's going to be the Disney version. What I would have liked to see is just bring it back like a Bad News Bears version of what was originally the Disney version of the Bad News Bears. The guy was originally picked up for a DUI in the first movie. Let's just have him get a few more DUIs. He's a little bit untrustworthy. Let's put him with children. Let's give him an actual mustache. That mustache that Emilio Estevez has in that trailer, that mustache comes right off. I guarantee it.
I hope it stays. The entire duration of the series.
I want to be wrong about this. I want that interview with Emilio Estevez where he says, I wouldn't come back if the script wasn't right, to actually mean something instead of, they gave me a huge fucking check for this.
And I had nothing else going on right now. Because no offense, but what has Emilio been doing? Not much.
A little bit of TV production, that kind of thing. But since I kind of had some words to say on this, so some hot takes, if you will, I wanted to also introduce our tonight's guest, somebody who's known for some hot takes. This guy is one of the best movie reporters in the business, somebody that if a scoop is breaking, it has more weight for me if it's broken by him. Beyond that, for the space that we're all very familiar with the Schmodown, he is the greatest Schmodown teams player of all time. 3-time champion with 2 different teams. And in my opinion, he's on Mount Rushmore of the Schmoedown. Jeff Sneider, I have to ask you, what are your thoughts on the Mighty Ducks trailer?
First of all, what the show? Thanks for having me, guys.
What the show?
Okay, Mighty Ducks. Let me tell you, I think I picked up on what you were putting down. It feels a little corporate sellouty, and I was shocked by the billing when it was like, "Here comes the star, Lauren Graham."
Right.
I was like, what? She should have been absolutely after Emilio Estevez. And I just didn't see, like, which kid am I going to fall in love with, which sounds weird now that I say it out loud. Or one of these kids going to pop? Like, if you look at the kids in the Mighty Ducks, like, they're all like, I'm like, oh, that's Braverman or that's Goldberg or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, like, that's Goldberg's always going to be Goldberg.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. If they retread the characters in the same path, then I think it's going to lose steam really quick. Just because we've heard those stories again, and it's kind of like the last 2 seasons of the Friday Night Lights TV show, but without the first 3 seasons.
I wanted a knuckle puck at least. Where was the knuckle?
Yeah.
Flying V. Come on. Give me
Flying
something.
V, the knuckle
Give me
puck,
something to work
the Statue of Liberty. Come on, give us something
I was
crazy.
expecting more throwbacks, but I guess you got to save some surprises.
You got to assume one of the original kids is going to show up at some point in the series too. I mean, inevitably, at least.
Just wanted to say this is a pro-drinking, pro-cursing show, and Jada promo has definitely got started with "Stay away from the My Kids, Sneider." Thank you,
From my
Jada.
kids.
If
Always good to see you.
you meant my kids, I was like, is Jader old enough to have kids? Does he have children?
He has
They're
7.
very cool kids.
Oh my god!
They're good people. I'm a
I
big
feel like
fan of
he's
them.
like 19 years old.
He just a really good skincare routine. Is what it
He's
is.
like me. Nobody knows how
Does
old
look
he is
young.
until someone tells him.
He's blessed. Good for you, Jader. Congrats.
Yeah, so let's go right into it, Jeff. What would you say, like, when you think of sports movies? Obviously, they go all over the. You've got some really good ones. You got some really bad ones. What would you put like as? Let's do this kind of like by sport. I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I like that. I like
Yeah, let's do it by sport. So, like, what the one that has the most movies seems to always be baseball, and
Or
there's
boxing. I
so
think
many
they're
baseball
tied.
and boxing movies.
Right.
Baseball. What would you put as your the benchmark?
So I am not a big baseball guy. I think baseball is boring. So I'm not someone who's like, oh, Field of Dreams, Bull Durham, The Natural. My baseball movie, honest to goodness, is Major League.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Major League rocks. It's like a perfect comedy. It totally holds up to
everything.
It's the perfect blueprint for like that kind of movie too. Has memorable characters, like a decent sequel, at least one. And yeah,
I want to talk about the third one too.
yeah, Major League. I think
We're not talking about the third one. We're not talking about Back to the Minors.
What are everybody else's? And I mean, I have some others to mention, but I'm curious, like, what's the juices?
That was my number one. I mean, that was definitely my number one. If I had to pick a number 2, it's probably Field of Dreams or The Natural. But I think what you said about Major League is like that transcends just being a sports movie. That has everything to. There's so much heart to Major League. And the one thing I really like, I rewatched it over the weekend in preparation for this. They literally do the tell, don't show approach to introduce all the characters, but somehow it worked. Like, they're like, oh, who's on the team? And they literally just go through like a list of this is this guy, this is this guy, this is this guy. And they throw them all into a room. And that usually does not work. But in this rare case, it actually did really well.
Yeah. Anybody else before I throw out some honorable mentions?
I am a Bull Durham person, but kind of not really. No offense to the movie, which I think is a very good movie. Not even so much for the movie, and more so because of like my weird emotional connection to the movie. We go to like North Carolina. Me and my family ever out there summer. I'm much more of like a minor league, like college baseball fan than I am a major league baseball fan. So I like that it kind of takes place with the minor league. I have been to where they shot that movie. I have been to actual Durham Bull games. So I think it's more my connection to the Durham Bulls than it is honestly to the movie. But I think it's a great movie. And the use of the saxophone
in that
movie, chef's kiss. You always know I was going to get a little steamy when the saxophone, as we always called it when we watched it, came on. You're like, oh, yeah, Susan Sarandon knocks out of the park on that one. The saxophone
Tim Robbins
player,
is great in that too.
Tim Robbins is great in
As
it.
Nuke.
I am a big Bull Durham fan, but again, I think it's more like my nostalgia for like going and like seeing the games in the summer. And yeah, it makes me, when I think of baseball, I think of that movie.
And that movie did age fairly. You could still watch that today, and there are some things that are a little dated, but it aged pretty well actually.
Like that saxophone, which is real sweet. Can't stress enough how much I love the saxophone.
How about you, AJ?
Oh, so I mean, Bull Durham is great. It's good. It's not even the best minor league baseball for me. I have to give it to Summer Catch for that one. Because you give Matthew Lillard room to be Matthew Lillard, and that's always a bonus for me. Let's see here. Baseball wise, I mean, Major League is the one. Seriously, it's not necessarily. It might be the godfather of sports comedies. Like
Comedies for certain. I'd say for sports movies, it's up there.
Yeah,
but for comedies, 100%.
What's a sports comedy that you enjoy more?
No, for comedies it is. It's 100% sports comedy. Yeah,
I was
for other sports movies, there might be a couple of things
comedy
to discuss, but for sports comedies, it has to be.
Yeah,
that's a classic.
But anytime that Kevin Costner plays a pitcher in general, though, For Love of the Game is beautiful.
True.
I like that as well.
Baseball just tends to work. Like their success rate with baseball movies is pretty high. Even when they go on the kiddie route, they do pretty well. The Sandlot, people still talk about that to this day with reverence.
42. That's another baseball
42 is a
movie.
great movie
That's
too.
Great. Almost forgot
With
about
Chadwick.
that one.
Yeah.
The Juice, what's yours?
Yeah, I've got 3. I got the trinity of baseball movies for me. But the one I want to start with is probably the one I watched most as a kid, and that's The Rookie. Dennis Quaid, not talked about barely ever, but it's super good. I mean, he's like he's about to turn 40. He's like in his early 40s, and it's like his last shot. He's just coaching a high school baseball team, but he still has it with the arm. He can still throw, and he trains his high school team to hit 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, and then they just take over and win their tournament or whatever, and then eventually.
I also want to know if that works. If you were to go to the side of the road and like throw a fastball, the speed thing really would be able to tell.
Fun fact: it does not.
Have you tried?
Yes, but many more talented people that I was with also tried.
Okay.
I couldn't do it.
I always remember.
But people who could actually throw a baseball couldn't do it either.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know. We fact checked it just for the movies. That works, folks.
Nice. What's your number 2, Juice?
Oh, real quick, by the way, guys, I just wanted to mention real quick for the channel, streamlabs.com/whattheshow/tip. We don't take any of that money for ourselves. We donate it to a charity every month. This month's charity is Care Rescue LA. So we're going to be helping some animals in rescue situations find, first of all, medical needs and also homes. It's an awesome thing. So if you have furry friends that you love and you want to support them in a big mass market, situation, mass metro pop situation, Care Rescue LA is a great one to help out with. And if you want to just talk about your favorite sports movies, send in that Streamlabs too, and we're going to make sure to interrupt the show as soon as I see it and bring your question, your favorite movies in. So
I was told
Sneider, you got some
charity. So
it is charity. 100%.
That sounds like a good one.
Yeah.
It's Jen Sturger works for them, so that's where we got the inspiration from.
Sturger, she loves animals more than anybody I know, so I trust her. Juice, what were your second movie?
So the second one is also the one I watch all the time as a kid, and that is Angels in the Outfield.
Oh,
It's just so great having
that does not.
Bite your tongue. It does. I haven't watched it in a really long time. I have no idea, actually.
Yeah, Danny Glover, Doc Brown, Matthew McConaughey is an outfielder in it. There's a couple other like super small little cameos, or
Tony Danza's in it.
People, Tony Danza, or people that were before they were famous. And so it's just so great. It's so much fun. I watched it probably 100 times as a kid, and then a few years ago I rewatched it, and I thought it held up. So really another super heartwarming one. And then the third one, this is definitely one I quote the most, and that'd be Rookie of the Year.
I knew you were going to say that. Like, if Angels in the Outfield is on this, Rookie of the Year is on this.
So good. It's just really for Daniel Stern. Daniel Stern makes that movie. All of his little hot ice. I heat up the ice cubes.
Hot ice. You heat up the ice cube.
His 3 R's: rest, relaxation, and conditioning. So many great Daniel Stern funny lines in there.
The Sandlot counts, right? Like that's technically a baseball movie.
Yeah, it is.
I would say The Sandlot then is also one of my faves. But the second you said you quote a lot, I was like, "You're killing me, Smalls." I say to people all the time.
There are some big movies that did not come up. So the movie that I'm actually surprised nobody said, because it kind of is a perfect movie, and I might even go with it over Major League in the end, is A League of Their Own.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised A League of Their Own.
That's
And that's another one. I've seen that movie probably 50 times. I could watch it 50 more. That's got so much replay value, so much heart.
That was a good movie.
I like
Madonna's in it.
The Bad News Bears did not come up. I'm surprised.
I
thought about that. Yeah,
it's tough to watch these days.
But I get
the
it.
remake is not worth watching at all. But the first one's
Bad News Bears go to Japan. Definitely not mentioned.
I played Bad News Bears in Japan in when I was working at Family Video one time. Like 6 people were like, "What are you watching?"
Hardball. One of my guilty pleasures is The Fan with De Niro and Wesley Snipes, and then the Linklater movies, Dazed and Confused. Even though it's about football guys, you don't actually see them play football,
but there is baseball.
Play baseball, and then everybody wants some of them.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the baseball list for me. 8 Men Out is great.
8 Men Out's wonderful, yeah. And Ed with Matt LeBlanc and the monkey. I mean, we all forgot that one too.
Pitch Perfect.
One that's brought up and got brought up a lot in our little community is Moneyball. Gucci and Barbarian keep saying they moneyballed the system here. Ben Bateman's always talked about Moneyball in the system. So
Moneyball,
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that could be. That's definitely a top 5 baseball movie.
That's way up there.
It feels as much a math movie as it is is it a sports movie if it's a baseball movie?
Because
is baseball like
a sports movie?
Baseball is like barely a sport.
Baseball is a sport.
It's like
it is barely.
I don't know if I'd call it a sports movie technically, but
in baseball, I feel like
it's like Sandlot. Sandlot is a baseball movie, but is it a sports movie? Or is it more of like an 80s, 90s kids adventure movie style of film?
Coming of age film.
Yeah.
But it's still technically sports.
It is a sports movie too.
I would say.
If you find it on Disney Plus, it's listed under sports. So
rattles the line. It could be in coming of age and sports on the show. I would say.
Yeah, that's true.
Who knows what the new rule book says, though? I don't know.
Well, as somebody who's read the new rule book, I can say nothing about it until March 1st.
Wow. As somebody that doesn't know how to read, I have not read the rule book, but I'd like to. Maybe is there going to be an audiobook version?
I
get that.
Okay.
To read
Who would read it? That's a good question.
It would be Bibbs.
Bibbs? Okay.
I'd like Ken Knapsack to do it.
I want Bibbs' most dramatic reading possible
page
of the rulebook.
All right, so let's go on to the next sport, and then we'll go to the next one that was mentioned, boxing. There's a lot of boxing movies.
My other favorite.
Can boxing sort of encompass fighting?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do all
Boxing, MMA.
combat sports.
I like that,
combat
yeah.
sports.
Okay.
AJ, why don't you start this one?
Yeah, AJ.
So if we're doing all combat sports, I mean, we saw Warrior coming, right? Like,
obviously we were going to discuss Warrior.
you need a good cry. You put on Warrior at the end of the day, especially if you had a bad relationship with a sibling or a father at any point in your life, which definitely the case for me. R.I.P. Dad. But Warrior, let's see here. I mean, Rocky deserved its best picture win. I'm going to be somebody who stands on that pedestal for the rest of my life. But Creed is the best one in that franchise for me.
In the franchise?
Wow.
The first Creed.
Oh, these are hot takes.
The first Creed is better than Rocky 1 for me. For
Better than
me.
all the Rocky movies.
I'm not even going to argue that point. Okay, I'll even cede you that point, AJ. But what about Rocky 4? Rocky 4 is the best of the Rocky movies.
Rocky 4 is the best music video compilation of all time.
That's fair.
He ends the Cold War,
right.
man. It has like a historical perspective.
And Journey was there.
They were the friends he made along the way.
Too much.
Rocky
Too much love.
1 through 4 and Creed are just on the highest pedestal of like, what could even be a better franchise than that outside of like all the,
For a
outside of, like, Star
franchise?
Wars and stuff, but like for like an actual like, not based off of a material, not based off of a fantasy novel. It's like just a set of films that were like, so many of them are just the best.
I mean, I guess
1,
sports
2, 3,
franchises.
4, Creed.
It's got to be for like just definitely in boxing, but maybe even in sports. Yeah, just as a whole, it's kind of tough to think of something that held up like that way. If you take 5 out of the equation,
Yeah.
first off,
Yeah.
I mean, 5 is we don't need to talk about 5. But then they came back and made Balboa, which actually wasn't bad. It wasn't spectacular, but it was, I thought, a nice send off for the character at the very least. But 5 is whew, Tommy Gunn. Ugh.
Yeah, Tommy Gunn. It's so bad that everyone remembers that name, Tommy Gunn. Like,
Right.
it's bad if you remember.
Nobody remembers
Scott
Scott
Sneider.
Morrison, the boxer who played me. They all know him as Tommy Gunn because of a stupid movie. Well, obviously I remembered it, but
So what you got, Sneider? What's some of your favorites?
Warrior would have been my answer. I think Warrior is tremendous. Rocky 4, and then the other movie and Raging Bull, of course. But,
I was expecting that one.
you can't forget Best of the Best.
Ooh.
Best of the Best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Eric Roberts, Chris Penn, James Earl Jones. It's amazing. Go back
The
and
final scene when he goes over and hands Daehan his medal.
yes, Daehan, I love
Like,
you. You killed my brother.
I've never seen this movie.
or Daehan hands him his medal. Sorry.
I cried. Oh, it's so great. That's the best.
God.
Are we counting Karate Kid in this?
Oh yeah, that's a
You
fighting
can say that's a
movie.
fighting movie. Yeah.
And-
Sports, yeah.
Actually,
Ends with a big tournament.
Classic.
Yeah.
that 100% counts. That would probably be one of mine. This is my hot take. I don't really like fighting movies. I know, like, again, of sports movies, probably has, besides baseball, the most. I like Rocky, fine, like it's fine. Creed was good. But yeah, I don't think I hold them in like the reverence that most people do. I do love Karate Kid though. It's a good movie.
Well, I saw it in the chat already. John Lastrina mentioned it. The Wrestler was, that movie was more than a sports movie. That was such a great character movie. And,
Was that a sports movie or was that a Darren Aronofsky movie?
Well, it was 100% an Aronofsky movie. And then it got followed up with Black Swan, which technically is a sports movie too. If you look
That
at
is
it,
a sports
if you
movie.
look at it from that perspective,
Ballet is a sport.
and the two of them they have so many parallels to each other that you watch them both of those and just be like, Jesus, what is this guy like? What's happened to Aronofsky in the past couple of years? But I was going to go with the opposite. We're talking the wrestler. How about we go the opposite way and talk about No Holds Barred? That is like one of the worst, but most lovably worst ones. I could watch No Holds. You want to put No Holds Barred on right now? I'll be like, yes. Oh, here's Rip and Zeus. Oh, and R.I.P. Zeus, by the way. He just died
Anybody in the chat or anybody else besides Mike know what that movie is?
It's the Hulk Hogan movie.
Because I don't.
It's the Hulk Hogan movie.
I also do not know what it is.
No Holds Barred came out, I think it was like 89, and
I have a fighting movie that I do like. I liked Fighting with My Family.
Fighting with My Family was pretty good, actually. Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
Mortal Kombat.
I knew I could think of
Mortal Kombat.
To a certain extent, do I have love for Mortal Kombat?
Fighting with My Family is amazing, though. That's the best WWE related property to ever be put on film.
Not a high bar.
It was good.
Yeah. I have one guilty pleasure in the fighting universe of films, and that is a movie that I saw back in Netflix, probably in high school, and it's Never Back Down.
Did you just say I saw on Netflix back in high school?
Yes.
Wow, I'm old.
It's like once an episode, he makes everyone feel old.
Oh man,
we found him in an orphanage, Chef.
Yeah.
He keeps us young.
But Never Back Down is really good. It's really underrated. It's not great, but it's amazing at the same time. It's really cool. I love any movie where you just it's kind of got the Karate Kid thing where the guy's not great at fighting. He finds a trainer that really helps him, and then and they beats the bad guy up at the end. And it is a really great, really like big close up when he's delivering like the final punch or kick. And it just like a close up on like the big bully's like face, and it's just him getting like smashed, and it's in slow mo, and it's fantastic. Amber Heard's in it, which used to be a good thing, but
I don't know where we all stand on that.
Was it ever?
Yeah. Was she ever a
high school
actress? Debatable.
So yeah, I have that as one of my highest of high guilty pleasure.
Why do you think that they've stopped making these kinds of sports movies? When you think about the movies we just talked about for the last 15 minutes, they're all a lot of 80s, maybe even early 90s kind of stuff, but the genre totally faded away.
I think with the exception of MMA, a lot of like combat sport, and even MMA has slipped in the past few years from where it was 10 years ago. It's just like, how do you market those as well as you used to? Because like you're talking the 80s and 90s, boxing was, a Tyson fight, everybody and their brother the world would stop to watch that. Nowadays, it's, I can't even tell you who any boxing champion is other than Mayweather.
Right. You just read about it on Twitter or you see it on YouTube or whatever.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, I'd assume that's got to contribute to it a little bit, but,
Yeah.
Well, for sports movies in general, I think that they found with, I mentioned it earlier briefly, the Friday Night Lights TV series, they found out that you can get a captive audience, serialize it, do it at a lower budget, and get a huge response. Because I don't remember the last time that I saw a good, and this will be the good segue, a good football movie in the theater. Like a big, super hugely popular football movie or baseball movie in recent times.
So much of it, though, have to do with the fact that the movie business is now so global, and something like football just doesn't really travel.
That's very true.
Surprisingly, not that many soccer movies, though. But you live there.
Only a handful of soccer movies when you think about it, but we'll get there.
Soccer and tennis.
That's why people
boxing and baseball.
Yeah, but what is the last major football release? I'm trying to pinpoint.
Blindside doesn't count.
Blindside's still like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was like,
it doesn't count.
2008.
I really like the Disney Plus movie Safety that actually just came out. Like those movies like The Express, like biopics and stuff. But the last great one was Any Given Sunday.
Mm-hmm. And that's almost 20 years ago, right?
2002, I think, or something like that.
Really enough? I can't think of.
Remember the Titans of
Remember the Titans? Yeah.
But that's
That was good.
Also,
Adam Sandler Longest Yard is even like 15 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's been
and
or the
again,
Waterboy.
Waterboy's 25 years ago.
25 years.
So here's the thing about the longest
Isn't that
yard.
crazy?
If Major League is the godfather of sports comedies, then the original Longest Yard with
yeah.
Burt Reynolds,
Mhm.
that's the Citizen Kane. It laid the groundwork, just everybody else did it better.
So is that your favorite football movie? Is the original Yard or?
Longest Yard?
No, definitely not.
No,
It laid the groundwork. It did it well, but everybody else improved upon it. That's my judge of calling something the Citizen Kane of anything.
Gotcha.
So are you saying that in movies in general, Citizen Kane came along and laid the groundwork, and every other movie has done better than it?
Lots of movies have borrowed from it and improved upon.
I mean, I'm not saying
Things
I
that
think
Citizen
that
Kane
Citizen
did.
Kane is the greatest movie, but there's
So-
also been some real clunkers since it's come out too.
Yeah,
Right.
In
Yeah.
fairness.
not every movie, but a lot of movies pull from it and improve upon its concepts.
I mean, original Longest Yard is good. I actually like struggling to think of like a good. I was thinking earlier of like good football. I do really like Remember the Titans.
What about I Don't Want Your Laugh?
But I will say, since AJ has mentioned,
Just let that one go.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Varsity Blues.
Yeah, Varsity Blues is just. But no, Varsity Blues again is one of those.
Purple-headed
movies-
yogurt singer.
It's not good, but you could watch it. Like
Yeah.
I could watch it again,
Yeah.
but it's not good.
I just feel, that's how I feel about Varsity.
Okay,
I
the
watch
replacements.
Varsity Blues
The
really long
replacements, I think, is the best sports comedy since Major League.
The replacement is good, and at any
It's probably
hour
on TBS right now, you know.
as it is playing on TBS.
Yeah,
I mean, I
it's
guess
the
it's
last
not
good
Maguire.
Gene Hackman performance.
Ooh, that's a good one. Jerry Maguire's that's a football
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
football movie.
Yeah,
I
I
found
think that's a
that.
good one. Yeah.
I mean, my favorite football thing of all time, AJ has mentioned a couple of times, but the Friday Night Lights, the show, not the movie. The movie is fine. The show, I think, is like one of the greatest TV shows of all time, and I will stand by that. And anyone can fight me on that, except for season 2. But it was the time. That was
This one,
not the writer's fault.
I have
this
two.
one I just got from Google, but it's definitely my favorite. Rudy.
Okay.
Rudy is a classic.
Yeah.
I
I
said it, but yeah,
I-
Rudy's very good. I love. Has anybody seen Angus?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you broke his nose.
Starring James Vanderbeek as the quarterback. And I also love Lucas with Corey Haim.
Lucas
Ooh, that's
that is a good one.
a deep
I have not
cut.
seen the other one.
I have not seen that since I was
Both.
like.
It's been a while since I've seen either one of those, but
Great
I
ending.
didn't think of either of those till Jeff mentioned them. But
They're
yeah.
both the name ones. I forgot. I don't know how I could forget Lucas and Rudy, but I did until they were just mentioned. I'm like, yeah, those are good movies.
Rudy is very good.
Jeff, can you tell me more about movies that were on Stars in the 90s?
That's where
That was a good one. Either.
you got it.
That's the quality content that we're all watching. Stars in the Night.
Yeah. So so that I think that wraps a bow on football. So the next, I guess we go hockey next. And I mean, we've already mentioned probably
Obviously,
the
we all
highest
know what I'm
profile
going
one.
to discuss here. The Mighty Ducks. Now, the real question is, what is everyone's favorite Mighty Ducks film? Is it 1, 2, or 3?
It goes in order for me.
1. AJ?
Mighty Ducks 2, the Goodwill Games, baby.
I'm also Mighty Ducks
Hit
2.
the knuckle
Thank
puck.
you, AJ. Thank you. I feel validated. Juice, what are you? 1, 2, or 3? No one's going to pick 3.
I'll pick 3 because I haven't seen any of them. But
Never seen
You've never seen
No.
a single Mighty Ducks?
That's a gigantic hole.
You
too.
have homework.
It
Okay,
is.
We are making one of all 3 of them, and then you're putting up a review on this channel because I cannot believe you've never
I
seen any.
envy you. Oh my! What I would give to sit down and watch the Mighty Ducks and then D2 like back to back for the first time. Oh my
Right.
god!
are they on Disney Plus? They are,
Yeah, they
right?
are.
Because- Okay, I'll get to
They
it.
are.
I'll get to it.
They all
How
are.
did I not
We
know
had
that?
a family video, and I was working my way to get there, and then I quit before then. But
Wait. When you're working on Family Video, you put on Bad News Bears go to Japan.
But you're like, nah.
You
that's
didn't put
my
on the
bad
first
movie.
Mighty Ducks.
I wanted to actually sit down and watch Mighty
Yeah.
Ducks. I didn't want to just have it. Bad News Bears goes to Japan. I'm never gonna just sit down and watch
That's
this.
fair.
I'll throw it on Family Video.
Oh boy, quiz shows here.
Oh
Your
no!
buddy.
What's up, Jeff? Other Jeff?
Other Jeff.
Not like you're not like other Jeff to me now. We're friends otherwise, but there's another one on screen.
As long as
You
I'm
on screen.
yeah, Jeff, you're the other Jeff tonight.
Oh, Jeff. Great show.
So
Surprisingly, there
Jada
are more
just brought
movies
up
than
my,
just the Mighty Ducks.
Jada just brought up my big hockey movie.
Miracles, obviously.
Yeah,
Another go-to.
I mean,
Right there.
no.
Gavin O'Connor, you just win everything.
Yeah, one of the parts of Miracle, not only the original call from the actual Olympics being put in there, but Dream On in the end credits when they showed what happened. That gets me every time. That's one of the few things. I don't get teary-eyed very often, but that will make me teary-eyed. Dream On was showing what all the players did. I'm like, that hits me every single damn time.
That's where he has to
Okay. Does anybody speaking of stars in the 90s, remember Mystery Alaska?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fun little movie. Didn't they play the Rangers, right? They played the New York Rangers?
Set it up as a little, if somebody grew up in a podunk small town, it had that kind of camaraderie for me. And I haven't revisited that since it was on Stars in the 90s, but I think that's definitely one that I just need to pull out for good underrated hockey movies everybody seems to forget.
I'm trying to think of other hockey movies.
I really like Goon.
I was about to say Goon too.
Goon.
The first one, not the second. The second
Yeah.
one I did not enjoy, but the first one's really good. The first one, for such a dirty movie, has so much heart. You genuinely feel for those characters, and it took kind of the major league, playbook and put it into hockey a little bit. So that's why it worked. And it's a shame that movie, I know they had some kind of distribution issues. It really didn't hit theaters.
Yeah. No, I guess you're right.
It pretty much went straight. It went straight to AXS, if I remember, actually. Which was weird.
It's a cult film, I feel like.
Yeah, it has since then. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I'm not I didn't grow up on Slapshot. So,
Yeah.
some people just feel like Slapshot's the best thing ever, and end of conversation. I have Sudden Death.
Some death's great. The bomb is in the puck.
That's my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie for sure.
Ooh.
It's a great trailer too. The trailer for Sudden Death is just out of this world.
On a slight veering away from hockey, but sticking with ice sports, because I know this sport won't come up in conversation. I'm going to put in my sales pitch for probably my favorite sports movie of all time, The Cutting Edge.
Yep.
There is a hockey player in it, so I'm counting it. I know he is figure skating in this movie, but The Cutting Edge is one of the greatest movies of all time. Again, fight me, anyone, if you want to. But The Cutting Edge is fantastic. Doug Dorsey, love it. Toe pick. It's a classic.
Toe pick is,
classic.
anytime somebody trips on skates, toe pick.
I use that in your everyday life. I mean, not really so much in Florida because not using toe picks often, but I will quote it. And I think that counts. Also, in a slight veer into figure skating, I, Tonya is also a great movie.
I, Tonya was very good, actually.
Thought about Tanya, yeah.
These movies.
Blades of Glory.
I-
Quiz show also mentioned the Oscar-nominated Blades of Glory.
Nice glory.
Nah.
Also,
Towards the lower part of my
also-
Cool Runnings, though, is a good one from Jay Oliveira.
Yeah, we watched.
Sorry, that wasn't the Oscars. That was the
Runnings
MTV
is great.
MTV Movie Awards nominated.
Any other cold winter sports we can think of
I've-
while we're on the topic?
I've only seen a handful of hockey movies. Miracle was one mentioned before. That's great. But the one that I want to talk about is I haven't seen this one for a long time. So it's one I'll rewatch when I have kids or have nephews or something. and that's MVP, Most Valuable Primate. God.
I was really wondering where you were going with it for a minute, and I couldn't have ever called that.
One to tell the kids about for sure.
It's not as good as the sequel. MVP, Most Valuable Primate, goes extreme or whatever. When he take Extreme Primate, that's what it's Most Extreme Primate. No, that's sledding. Whatever the ones where he skateboards. That's the best one of the franchise in my opinion. But the hockey one was very good if I remember.
Okay, so if they're to do an MMA movie crossover with that primate and Air Bud, who would win?
Oh yeah.
MMA MVP.
Anyway, so would he fighting Air
Get the rights
Bud?
to it, Sneider. Get the rights.
Fighting Air Bud.
And
Fighting
the Air
Air
Bud,
Bud.
and they fight because I'm into that. I think see it.
Otherwise, it's just Harambe.
If biting is allowed, I put my money on Air Bud. If it's not biting, I put my money on the chimp.
Guys, isn't this show for charity about animal abuse?
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't be
You
making
killed my
this for dog
you
fights.
killed my segue. All streamers will be once again going to Care Rescue LA.
That's the worst.
gonna
thing
reject
you
At
can
this
do.
point, I believe everybody who's a regular host on the At this point, I believe everybody who's a regular host in the show actually does owe our own $20 in personal donations for the month because of what has just occurred. So
I'd
if
like to
you
apologize on behalf of all humans to all animals for the conversation we just had. But also,
probably a good idea.
100% on the chimp. Sorry, Air Bud, you're going down.
Yeah.
What is that?
Air Bud will get mentioned later on, I
I've
guarantee.
got
When we get to basketball, because I'm hoping it's when we get to basketball.
Oh, yeah.
let's go to basketball before we get canceled.
Roll on to basketball. Juice, start us off. Start us off talking about Air Bud.
Well, I guess we may as well just talk about Air Bud right away. Or we could wait. Let's wait a little. Let's circle back around and then we can promote again. Basketball. I just saw the way back or the way back with Ben
Way
Affleck. It's way
the way back.
way back. Or it's just the way back.
This is the way.
The
I
way
actually-
back could be the sequel.
I just want you to keep calling it the way back though, because that's funnier.
The basketball segment in movie 43 is very good.
Wait. You just said something in movie 43 is good?
The basketball segment. That's like known for being the only good funny segment.
I'm gonna take your word on that.
How did you
I
get
won't
through
yet.
that movie? I couldn't.
How did he get on this show? What the show?
What the
So, Juice. Movie 43. Did you watch the whole thing?
I got through about 15 minutes of it, and I was like, nope, I can't
I've
do
never
it.
seen the whole thing.
I've never sat down and put it on. It's like if I go over to a friend's place, they'd have it on. So
Sure.
it
Why
was like that.
associating with people who are watching movie 43 is the real question.
Is this
I
Whitney
don't
been
know
like
anymore.
serious?
No, it's not. No, there is a really funny story about that, but I'll save for another time.
I have a
But,
feeling his friend has testicles hanging down from his
No,
dick. I
no,
like to see
I'll
myself
tell-
represented on the
I'll
screen.
tell the story. He came over to our friends one time and we had it on, and he comes in and he's like, "What are you guys watching?" We're like, "Movie 43." He had never heard of it, so he's like, "Oh, Hugh Jackman's in it. All right." Like, sweet, I'll watch it. Like, I don't know what this is, but it's got Hugh Jackman. I love Wolverine. I'll watch this.
I've
And
listened.
then all of a sudden the scarf comes out, reveals, and just the shock of Jacob was just it was something else. So that's enough movie 43 talk for the rest
so
of
basketball
what
movie.
the show is.
Basketball movies. Movie 43. Did not see this one.
I had not seen that coming up in a sports movie discussion tonight, but here we are.
I mean, basketball's got some very obvious ones, but I got one that's like a little bit less obvious. And it's actually a Shaq movie, but people forget this one. It's called Blue Chips with Nick Nolte, Shaq, and Penny Hardaway.
I've never heard of this movie.
It's about college recruiting, and they recruit Shaq and Penny, and they totally break all the rules. They give Penny's mom a car and Shaq's mom a new house and stuff like that. And they wind up
Blue Chips it works.
Was that 95?
That sounds about because they were both in the NBA at that. It was Penny's rookie season. It was Shaq was already there, and Penny did it when he was still in college.
It was 94. It was 94.
Yeah. So
I saw Blue Chips for my 10th birthday. That was my 10th birthday party. I took a bunch of friends to see Blue Chips.
it wasn't my own party, but I also saw Blue Chips at a birthday party. So that's
There you go.
that was a birthday party.
Guys,
You
we
should
got
have my
first
birthday
donations
party.
of the night.
Is what?
First donations of the night.
Oh.
Jake Yakavetta
Of course.
donated $100.
Oh wow.
What?
Good
I
grief.
will, or Jake. Thank
saying,
you.
"Why am I not surprised that this show went completely off the fucking rails?"
Because I'm on it.
Trust me, Jeff. This is not the first time this has happened.
Oh, you're the brains here. I'm just going with the flow.
Calling AJ the brains. That's polite.
The comedic brain.
Oh, no. And then Brandon Buck donated $3 saying Care Rescue LA is an amazing charity. Jennifer Sturgey is the best. I need more Jennifer in my life. Now, if we reversed the donation amounts, the messages would make way more sense. gotta be honest here.
Yeah.
I felt like you should have read them in the
Jake,
other
I
way.
love you.
He's like, hey, we got $100, and then Buck gave us $3.
It said something super
Your
nice.
donation
It said something
is so
super kind
appreciated.
and loving.
And
And then Jake was just like, "Oh yeah."
just made the pork talk here in this household.
It's not about the money. It's not about the money.
It is not. It is not. We are here for fun. The fact that we can have things go to charity through Streamlabs is just something that is so rewarding and awesome. And so awesome for anybody who wants to jump in and hang out with us and be part of this community. So,
Yeah.
So
so back to fucking around.
I've got one that I just rewatched, or I just watched for the first time the other week. He Got Game.
Ooh,
That was pretty good.
that is good.
I wasn't expecting, I was expecting a typical basketball movie, and I wasn't sure like what Denzel's role. I just knew he was the lead, so I thought it was just going to be about him playing basketball. But it was like, no, he's in prison. He's trying to like help his son, who is actually who is his son?
Ray Allen.
Ray Allen. Yeah. I didn't realize that. So like that, that was pretty cool. Like an interesting take. It's not really about the sport,
But it's the background of the movie.
But it's the background. Yeah. It's
Basketball movie that counts.
So.
I mean, I stepped aside for a second, but Love and Basketball was mentioned or no?
No, and I was about to.
Not yet.
I love that movie.
That's I don't care. It's just beautiful. It's so awesome. I love that movie.
Can we already talk about Hoosiers?
Yeah, we haven't brought that up yet. No, I mean, that's the obvious one.
Hoosiers.
That's the obvious one.
Hoosiers and
Ever
Teen
since-
Wolf are my favorites.
Teen Wolf. There we go.
Oh yeah.
See, ever since
we
Mike
talked
Pence
about
said the word Hoosiers, I can't say that word without like donating another $20 myself to Care Rescue LA.
With Hoosiers, I always like associate it with Hooters. So like before I saw the movie, I thought it was like a major league like
I thought
comedy,
this was about
like
food, man.
like a type, and then you watch it, and it's just Gene Hackman being Gene Hackman. I
We
love
didn't
it.
even see Gene Hackman's boobs. That's stupid.
What a disappointment.
Well, and someone brought up, you're going like with a little bit more of a raunchy route. So we brought up Blades of Glory, but Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell. That's a better Will Ferrell sports
Does
movie.
anybody remember his name in the movie?
Jackie Moon.
Good.
Jive Turkey.
Very.
You did not just say the JT word.
I have never thrown up. I've never thrown up once in my life. Oh God, that movie is so.
Everyone is forgetting Space Jam, which obviously is one of the greatest basketball movies of all time.
So
And
good.
if we're going documentaries, The Last Dance that came out.
Oh, The Last Dance was just, I mean,
Phenomenal.
I think documentary should be its own thing. Like we're doing football, basketball. I think
Yeah.
At the end,
I like that.
we can bring up sport because there are a lot of good sports documentaries.
that is
I own
Very true.
the
I
entire
have a really fun game that I play with
30
Space
for 30
Jam.
collection.
If I'm ever in a place where like people are like it comes up in conversation, I act like I've never fucking heard of it.
Of course you do.
Like you just pretend that like Michael Jordan was in a movie with the fucking Looney Tunes. No, you're bullshitting me. I will not Google it. I refuse. I would have heard of this by now. Like I've done this at least a half a dozen times in the past 10 years. It's
Never
amazing. If you ever just want some great time at a bar, Space Jam will eventually come up somewhere, and you will have the time of
So
your
every
life
night you're
if
at
you
a
just
bar,
act like
Space
it
Jam
never
comes
happened.
I'm learning a lot about my co-host tonight. For instance, the Juice has watched the entirety of movie 43 and hangs out with people who do. AJ goes to bars where only Space Jam is discussed.
No, you just wait
Yeah,
for it
I
to
don't
happen.
look
It
at
happens
birthday parties.
eventually.
I know a lot now.
Wear a Space Jam jersey and do that bit and see if people
and then
realize
really
like
be confused.
you're wearing the jersey. That'd be great. One that I have that is another just when I was a kid. I don't know if it's got great rewatch but Like Mike was one all the time that was
That
on.
was so bad.
So good.
That movie is terrible.
You guys gotta start screening these.
It's a great story about family and adoption, and they have a Nerf gun fight at the end.
That movie is so bad.
He orders room
What
service.
Jader said in the chat, that's a good movie. White Man Can't Jump. That's a fantastic
Oh
movie.
yeah, that was great. That's great.
I like your pick.
I'm gonna start checking Juice. I'm gonna start checking your like I'm gonna ID you before every stream right now. Like from here on out. Like these takes are by the way, Jader needs a shout out for bringing up White Man Can't Jump.
Yes,
That's
that's way up there for basketball movies for me. That might be number one for me.
over American History X.
Wow, that's something there.
It's a basketball movie. Ed Norton's doing backwards dunks.
You know what? We'll count it.
That's stretching it a little bit, but we'll count it. On it.
One of those movies was directed by a music video director.
Was it Like Mike?
No, it was not like Mike.
Surprisingly not. Oh, like Mike.
Come on, Sneider. Who directed American History X?
Tony K. But who directed White Men Can't Jump? That's a better question.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Jader, put it in.
Jader probably knows that.
Jader's probably gonna know, or he can Google it for us. I refuse to Google it.
Ultimately,
used to
Along
know
Came Polly basketball scene is pretty hilarious.
It's not.
Yeah.
Ron Shelton.
Ron Shelton directed that. Wow. Okay.
Ron Shelton did a bunch of
Yeah.
Oh, Bob Durham.
Yeah.
Very interesting. What's our next sport?
So what do we have next?
We're
We haven't done
running
golf
out,
yet.
We're running out of the main.
No, we haven't done golf yet. I mean, there's the most obvious answer of all time. Well, there's two super obvious answers on golf, I think.
The
One
Legend of Bagger Vance.
Yes, that is great pull. Yes.
We just because there's nobody who's a photo negative of my skin color on the screen right now, we cannot advocate for Legend of Bagger Vance in any way, shape, or form. Spike Lee told me this, and I will adhere to that.
Personally, did Spike Lee tell you this personally?
Yes.
Okay, heard.
It was the first question you got to ask. All right, what, Tin Cup and Caddyshack, are those the ones?
I was gonna say Caddyshack and Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Oh,
So mine too. There were no good golf movies when I was a kid, so I don't have any dumb takes then.
But
So I'm right there
that's a
with.
good choice. But Happy Gilmore's another movie I could watch every single day. I mean, that's
Happy Gilmore's amazing.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore. Just so many good things about that. My favorite character in Happy Gilmore is Mr. Larson with the nail in his head, chasing. I believe that's Mr. Gilmore's jacket, chasing after Shooter. Well, no, I'm lying. Shooter's my favorite character, but still, Shooter's one of my favorite movie villains of all time. Actually.
Oh, he was so good as that movie villain, and then as a kid, like that movie came out when I was a young kid. So the next time I saw him was as the dad in Leave It to Beaver, and
Why did you
it
see
was
that?
such a turn, such a face turn.
It's gonna say
There's never been a face turn in that like that in
Requiem.
Schmodown or wrestling history.
Or Leave It to Beaver. Both equally quality films.
I was never I like Caddyshack, but I don't love Caddyshack the way that I bet Mark Ellis loves Caddyshack.
I can see that being one of his absolute favorite movies. Actually, that's totally an Ellis movie.
Yeah, for crying out golf movies, I think that
Caddyshack 2 is unwatchable.
Never seen it.
I tried to watch that.
It's unwatchable. Don't even bother. It's not even worth like a hate watch. It's terrible.
Is there anyone else who has a golf movie?
The greatest game ever played.
Saw it. That's all I
Maybe.
can say. I have seen it.
I've seen it.
I like when Michael Douglas interrupts the old white guys playing golf and falling down.
Yes, Falling Down's a great movie. He shows up at McDonald's 3 minutes late for breakfast, and that's a great movie. I haven't seen that movie in a fucking long time either.
Caddyshack 2.
We just agreed
I just
that
said nobody should watch that ever.
Well, we're working with different lists here. By the way, we did just get a $5 donation from Joaquin Oliveira.
Hey.
Much love from Boston, Brazil too. You guys are awesome. Stay Gucci. Sub Brazzy Gucci. It's a callback.
Team's the best.
Anyways, but yeah, golf wise, I mean,
we can move on from golf, guys. It's golf.
Yeah,
that is.
So let's move on to something more interesting like chess.
Searching for Bobby Fischer?
Like track and running movies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can play the Chariots of Fire theme.
Yeah, Chariots of Fire. I like Prefontaine and I hate Jared Leto. Like Prefontaine is a damn good movie, and
Was it better than Without Limits? Did you like Without Limits or Prefontaine?
I actually never seen Without Limits, to be honest.
Okay. Really proud of it.
Now you have homework.
Yeah.
Juice and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
See how
going
it
to
feels.
go ahead and put
Cool
that.
Runnings was
on
also a
thing.
track movie. They started off as track runners, so you can go with
I'll
that.
kind of count that. Sure, why not? I'll count Cool Runnings in any category I can.
Movies about rowing.
Sports movie.
And I enjoyed that.
She did run. The marathon is a sport, so that was an enjoyable movie.
Count it.
Yeah,
Run, Fat Boy, Run.
that was fun.
I was going to say
it
it's
wasn't
heavyweights
great.
then, because they make them run. Don't they?
Okay, Deliverance. It's about Rowan Crew.
Oh my God! Here we go.
All right, and that
Cheaper by the dozen too. Cheaper by the
right off
cheaper-
it now.
Cheaper by the dozen 2 ends with a paddle boat race.
And you want to think of another tennis movie?
Oh yeah, what was the one with Steve Carell and
Borg
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
well, it's like War of Sex.
Wimbledon.
Battle of the Sexes, and then Borg McEnroe was good with Shia.
Yes. The Shire.
Wimbledon is probably my favorite, if you can call it sports rom-com.
Wait, what do we count? What movie? Sorry.
Wimbledon, if you can call it a sports rom-com, is probably my favorite in that category.
That is. Can we discuss dance? Because I think that's a sport.
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely.
That's athletic, right? There's a lot of good dancing movies.
Ooh, Napoleon
But it
Dynamite.
has to be dance as a sport.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Also,
you got served.
dance related, but its own category. I think a great sports movie. Bring It On. Said what I've said. I think Bring It On is a great film.
The first one.
It's the first one. The rest of them are like
Only
to whatever video are not good. But Bring It On, and I think that I like that has a little bit of a different ending. Most of these sports movies, the underdog wins, whatever. I like that they changed it up a bit. That is a good one.
Rob Fishback brings up in the chat Saturday Night Fever. That's not really sports, but it's dancing for sure.
That's dancing. We will count that. We will count the dancing. I'm trying to think of like other like
like competition ones.
The competition.
There's a little. I mean, what about Revenge of the Nerds? The whole Nerds competition, and there's some dance in there. Clap your hands, everybody.
I think that counts.
So slightly less of a stretch would be Save the Last Dance because she's competing to get into Juilliard.
True.
Slightly less of a stretch.
Competing. She's not competing. It's definitely a dance movie.
Zoolander.
Sort of sportsy.
Zoolander.
Absolutely. Runway walking is a sport.
That Zoolander, best dance movie. It's
for the clip out. This will be miscellaneous sports movies.
There is something we haven't brought up yet, and that's racing. Because there's a few of those.
Like car race. Yeah, that's
a
popular genre.
Ford v Ferrari was very enjoyable. I very much enjoyed Ford v Ferrari, but the one that I've seen more than any other racing movie is Talladega Nights. I mean, Talladega Nights. Yeah. So that's one of my favorite. That's probably my second favorite Ferrell movie. And that's another one that's just so insanely quotable. Good Lord.
There's gotta be.
So I would say probably my top 10 most rewatched movies, just because we had on VHS when I was a kid, is Days of Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Like that was the first movie that I saw in a home surround sound system with a big screen TV that is the size of the desk that I'm sitting at right now. Length, width, and depth.
I missed
I was going to say, if it was that big, it was huge in the way back.
Oh, yeah. At least 250 pounds on that TV.
I don't know how people moved like big TVs back in the day. Like, how did you get that into your house?
You had to have it like on a cart, basically, most times to move those things back in the day.
You talked to the Lancasters, and my parents hired us out as kids. That's how it happened. We moved around so many TVs, and we had so many TVs in our house because my parents owned a dealership that we were like, they assumed that we were mob related for the amount of TV moving that happened. It was like the first Fast and Furious movie in the semi trucks.
Fast and Furious, kind of.
The first ones are kind of racing.
Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely.
Tokyo Drift was
again whether or not you want to say they're good.
Tokyo Drift is probably the most sports that franchise has gone.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I still like the go-kart race and heavyweight.
Oh.
I raised you the go-kart racing in the beginning of Gone 60 Seconds.
Okay.
With Robert Duvall. With the little kids, yeah.
Also,
Baby Driver. It's
Baby Driver's got some great
racing away from the cops.
Yeah, sort of, kind of, yeah. That counts. Yeah.
If you're doing it against the cops, it's not a sport. Well, it's most likely a felony most times.
Speaking of Fast and Furious, though, it makes me think of Point Break. So best surfing movies.
Just rewatch Point Break. So yeah,
Johnny's Tsunami, motherfuckers.
Gosh.
I can't think about it.
Meatball sandwiches.
Sports movie I can think of is, oh my god,
Blue Crush was what? Yeah, Blue Crush was a surfing movie.
And that's not good. But by default, I can't think of it.
Surf's Up.
Chicken Joe from Surf's Up is from Sheboygan, Wisconsin, where I live now, and he
I knew that
in the movie.
I was just about to say that too, and then he
So I just heard Surf Ninjas, and I just want to pause and reflect for a bit on our charity stream about sports movies. That we got to the point we brought up a movie where they put Leslie Nielsen in a fucking samurai costume.
Just Leslie Nielsen in general, though. I mean,
in a samurai costume.
Can you name anything with Leslie Nielsen that you really just didn't enjoy? Like
Mafia.
All right.
Yeah,
I feel like we do any other sports.
There's always an answer.
We move to sports documentaries.
Let's go on to the documentaries because that's kind of where we were.
Do docs and wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you got to start with Hoop Dreams and with When We Were Kings, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So good.
Both of them.
Good. Obviously, we mentioned The Last Dance earlier when we were talking basketball. A movie that to this day kind of makes me hate the Chicago Cubs because I think they might have terrible fans. The 30 for 30 film Catching Hell. I was like, the Cubs never deserve good things ever. And then like they, I mean, I guess not all fans are terrible and they kind of buried the hatchet with that guy. But that movie got me like fired up. And the 30 for 30, of which name I can't remember right now. Oh, and I feel terrible for it. But it's the film about the Liverpool, the incident where the 96 people died at that match. And that movie like was very, very good and will definitely like move you to tears and make you really pissed off that those people didn't get justice for a long time. And I'm not going to Google what it's called because it's going to bother me. Well, you all discuss great documentaries.
30 for 30 wise, might as well just all share like at least one favorite. I just watched the Brady Six during the start of like quarantine, March, April last year, and I gained respect for Tom Brady in a way that I never had. And I am actually rooting for Tom Brady to get his next Super Bowl ring.
I was actually going to go off topic and ask Jeff what he thought about him, Brady being in the Super Bowl.
That's how we should end this. We should end it.
Yeah. Because
actually, but I just wanted to say, like, for 30 for 30s, the Brady Six is amazing. If you always hated Tom Brady, you'll respect him. I gained respect because as a kid, I was a Drew Bledsoe fan. And then he took the job away from my favorite quarterback when I was a little kid. So I hated the Patriots after that. Now I respect and appreciate Tom Brady. Juice, you had one to jump in with?
Not a sports documentary. I was going to just say on the Tom Brady thing. So I'm not necessarily a big Packer fan. I live in Wisconsin now. I'm not from Wisconsin, so I'm not like I die hard by him. But I was honestly rooting – I was almost rooting because like the Packer fans just adore Rodgers so much and he always fails. And I said like years ago, and everyone laughed at me. I was like, Brady is better than Rodgers. Just a fact. Brady wins, Rodgers doesn't win. And everyone laughed at me. And so I wanted the Packers to win just because I am a Packer fan. But I secretly wanted Brady to beat Rodgers just to be like, I was right. And he did. So it was like everyone at the party I was at was very mad, but I was kind of like, all right.
You were going to parties for the NFC Championship game?
Not like big.
There's not much to do.
Just a couple, just a couple friends. We're things are pretty lax here. We were wearing masks.
You brought the keytar though, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I was going to say,
not a big party. It was like 6 people.
My sports.
Real quick, guys, we just got a $5 donation from Jader. I just want to say, great show, guys. Selfless plug. Sneider, I want you on my show. Let's talk some movies. So Sneider is the only person on this stream right now who's currently invited to Jader's show.
Jader, I'll take you out anytime you want, buddy. Just hit me up on Facebook. I'm around.
Jader, who will be competing against Abby in the theme park trivia on our next What the Showdown. So.
Ooh, that sounds exciting. Guys, how about Murder Ball? Any Murder Ball fans?
Murder Ball, that's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a real good one.
Good.
I can't
Whip
believe
It.
there's people in that movie.
For miscellaneous, Whip It has to be brought up.
Whip It has to be brought up.
For miscellaneous sports movies.
Okay.
You cannot forget about the Elliot Page movie, Whip It.
It's
Bring
great.
up rollerball while you're at it. I mean,
Yeah, I've had multiple friends. Briefly dated somebody too involved with the Omaha rollerball team in Omaha. Anyways, and it's like a really great little movie about the sport. It does everything competently, and it's fun to watch. And fuck it, it's a good little movie.
It is a good little movie. I liked it.
Elliot, by the way.
we were talking documentaries, and this it isn't a sports documentary, but it's called The Last Play at Shea. And it's Billy Joel's last concert at Shea Stadium wrapped around the history of the New York Mets, which, as somebody who grew up in Long Island, New York, it is the
It's the most Long Island movie you will ever see in your life. Is what it is. It gets real Long Island real quick, and it's enjoyable.
But it's great because it shows the history of not only Billy Joel, but the Beatles concert at Shea Stadium, which is legendary. History of Billy Joel, history of the New York Mets, and it goes through the 86 series and the Piazza home run right after 9/11, which is one of probably my favorite sports moment of all time, honestly. But yeah.
It is.
Feels I can see him.
But it covers a lot of bases, and it's a very thorough
pun intended.
But it's a thorough look at two histories that I was a big fan of to begin with, Billy Joel and the Mets. So that just was a perfect documentary for me as a whole.
I'd recommend the Tiger Woods documentary that just aired on HBO. Tiger.
I haven't watched it yet. It's on my to watch list, definitely.
The Larry Bird and Magic Johnson documentary that HBO had is also a really good one. I think it's like a courtship of rivals or something.
That's the best sports rivalry I think ever is Larry versus Magic. It's just because they were so competitive, but in such like a loving way. You're never going to see that dynamic. I don't think we're ever going to see that.
Oh, it's not Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers?
No, Brady and Manning's closer to that. I think Brady and Manning were kind of close to that, but but let's talk about a rivalry for a second. Maybe a real life thing that might have happened on the internet about 20 years ago.
Oh,
that no, it was not a direct rivalry. If I'm not mistaken, it was like a satellite rivalry. But somebody in this room had a pretty interesting experience with one of the most notorious directors of all time.
I did. What do you guys want to ask me about it? I'm an open book.
Okay, so for those who don't know, if you've never heard the name Uwe Boll, is that right? Uwe, is that how you say it? Uwe Boll. He, in the early 2000s, had a string of licensed video game movies that he put together and financed through this bizarre German tax hole loop that he was getting paid basically to make these movies, and there was a tax shelter law that he was not losing money on making these things. Cast all of the actors like at the last second in all of these movies. Like he was about to start filming and would cast them like a week before because they were available, and made all of these train wreck movies: Alone in the Dark, House of the Dead, Blood Rain, and the one that I'm going to get into with Jeff right now is Postal, because he was involved in Postal. So Uwe Boll challenged a bunch of critics to box him. And Jeff was not the critic on AICN, if I remember correctly, who was the one directly reviewing the movies. Is that correct?
That is true.
It was one of the other ones, but you fit in the description of what he was looking for a boxing opponent, because he had very specific guidelines what he wanted.
What were these guys?
Yes. Yeah. Well, you just had to have like the certain physical type, so it had to be under a certain weight class. And the guys running the site at Ain't It Cool were Harry Knowles, Drew McWeeny, and Eric Vespi. Love two of those guys.
Yeah,
but they're all big boys. Although Drew's lost a lot of weight lately.
Yeah, he looks great. Actually,
amazing. Drew, tell me your secret. So, anyways, yeah, those were bigger guys. Uwe wasn't going to fight them. I fit the physical specifications, and I was working as an intern for Luke Greenfield's company. And Luke's assistant was like, hey, they'd call me Mirajeff because that was my handle on Ain't It Cool. They're like, Mirajeff, did you see this? And I'd be like, no. I'd be like, oh, Uwe Boll wants to fight, film critics, and like I think you should enter. And I was like, all right, it's like a free trip to Vancouver. And, it was a chance to be a part of a footnote in pop culture history. And so I did it, and he picked me. I'd never seen an Uwe Boll movie when I bought him. But I knew that he definitely had it out for Ain't It Cool News because they'd really slagged on him in his career. I think it was mostly Quint, honestly.
It was Quint, yeah. It was always Quint that, like, for whatever reason, he was the one who always reviewed them. And, like, side note, like, my buddies and I, as jokes, like, every birthday or Christmas, all of us bought each other Uwe Boll movies. I have, like, 3 of them on my shelf right now because of that. The was giving somebody an Uwe Boll movie. So I have more than I'm willing to admit.
Well, thanks, man. I'll check it out. Yeah.
They're so bad.
You're like, I hate you. So yeah, I did not train at all for this boxing match. I didn't do a single push-up, a single sit-up. I'd never been in a boxing ring before. It hit me pretty quickly when I was in there that like boxing isn't really about how hard you hit the other guy. It's about breathing and moving your legs. And my legs were like rubber glue sticks within 30 seconds. I hope my grandmother doesn't see this. I was stoned during the match. The entire day.
Of our 11 listeners right now, I have to tell you, Jeff,
It's not your
grandma's here.
Your grandma's been
We
a
might rewatch it. We don't know. We get rewatches.
That's true. But so yeah, I was totally stoned. I'd spent all day in like a weed cafe up in Vancouver. I'd never experienced anything like that before. And I got my ass kicked, but I did make it to the second round. My trainer that day, they'd assigned us trainers who were going to be like our corners. My guy ended up getting wasted the day of the match. I literally had to pick him up, and I gave me a different guy. I don't think he even had a mouth guard for me. I think that no kidney protectors, which Uwe Boll did wear, or like a cup. One of the other competitors even said, because he fought 4 of us in one night, he's like, "Hey man, do you want to use my cup?" I'm like, no. But yeah, I had to sign away all my rights. I made it to the second round of the fight, which is
impressive.
By the time I got out of the ring, there was no cornerman to take my mask, like the headgear off, cut the tape off my hands. So I'm just like freaking out. I got my adrenaline totally spiked, and I was walking back to the locker room, and I just popped. I threw up everywhere, and a photographer for Wired magazine later took a photo of me surrounded in a pool of my own vomit. I was then in Wired magazine. I'm wearing a tank top that says "Hi Mom" on it, and I needed oxygen. But I did not go to the hospital. I was never in an ambulance either. That is false.
So I do have a question about it, and I think it's one that you've never been asked, at least on camera. Who plays Jeff Sneider in the movie about this boxing match?
I mean, I wish I could say Shia LaBeouf, but he's been canceled.
Yeah.
I guess I go first. I really like Chris Abbott lately. Chris Abbott is my guy.
Okay.
Dream casting. I mean, God, Miles Teller would be awesome.
I could see that. Actually.
I could see there's a line where you and Miles Teller could. Okay.
That's my type. My Shia.
Who plays Uwe Boll to make you look as good as possible?
As long as it's not McLovin. As long as they're like. Who is Uwe Boll? That's a good question.
You need to make the other guy look as big as possible. I mean, you're talking about canceled people. I'd go Armie Hammer.
Yeah, exactly. He'll come out of retirement to play Uwe Boll. Self-imposed retirement. That's a good question. I don't know.
The other question I have is: have you seen any of his movies since?
Yeah, no, I saw Postal, which I actually thought was okay.
Of his movies, that's the easiest.
Alan Smithy in the comments right now. Werner Herzog plays Uwe.
Yeah. So good.
The one good movie that Uwe did make was Tunnel Rats 1968, if you've ever seen that.
Well, I know he's made like 2 or 3 movies that weren't off of video games that got fairly okay reviews. It's just the video game movies he did that.
Tunnel Rats is like a really interesting movie. Like you have people crawling through the ground. Have you seen that in like a regular Hollywood studio movie? I really haven't. So he was interesting.
Yeah, I know he supposedly is making a comeback and wants to make whatever it is, if it's the 3rd or 4th Blood Rain, but God, the second Blood Rain is one of the most unwatchable movies I've ever seen.
But why did you watch that? Like, who sees?
I told you. I
told you.
Hold on. But just because you watched it as a gift did not mean you had to watch it. Just saying.
I guess
out there. He's bringing out the receipt.
I mean, I have it.
Oh, there it is.
You own Blood Rain 2. That would be.
I told you, my friends gave it to me as a gag gift.
You got to drop that in the trash, my man. That you got to Marie Kondo that thing.
It's just, yeah.
That's the second worst baseball movie next to.
Watch it twice.
back to the minors.
Yeah, I think you need to.
She's a good woman to even let you have that in her home.
It won't. And whenever we inevitably move, I cannot
It
guarantee
might not make
that
the next
it'll make
move.
the move. But as of right now,
I don't think I've watched it in like since the
it's
first
just
month I owned
chilling
it,
in our
which is
living room.
10 years ago, 11 years ago, something like that.
But there's a great commentary track on there.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
For real. All right, guys. So who do you think wins the Super Bowl here?
Yeah,
Give it to me straight.
The Super Bowl here.
It's tough
Big
right
game.
now to pick against Kansas City putting their foot on the gas because that's what all they do. If you get if the Bucs are going to have any chance, they have to keep the ball out of their hands. You can run against Kansas City. So
What are you, John? What are you, John Madden? I don't need the analysis. Give me the pick, guy.
it's going to wind up being
Name a team.
Kansas City by
I'll go Chiefs.
Yeah, I think I'm going Chiefs on this one.
I'm going Bucks, and I'm gonna wear Dagnito's old school Bucks hat. I don't have it with me in this room right now, but I'm 100% Bucks. We're going old school.
I like the retro buttons.
I'm rooting Bucks. I'm rooting Bucks for sure.
Bucks 5-5. Don't bet against
Bucks
Tom
Bucs
Brady.
by 5.
Don't bet
Bucks
against-
by 5.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
How many times
Oh,
have we seen Tom Brady
okay.
down by 4 or 5 in the 2-minute warning and win the game? I mean, countless. It's insane how many.
Tom Brady wins in the fourth quarter with maybe 57 seconds left. Rob Gronkowski touchdown. That's how it ends.
57 seconds from Mahomes, though. That's too much, I think. You got to do it with 20.
So
Won't
if
matter.
you play the parlay that Jeff Sneider just put up and you win, reminder, donations to What the Show Streamlabs / What the Show / tip. And if that parlay hits, just put that back into the community here. So Jeff Sneider, where can everybody find you?
The InSneider, Twitter, Instagram, Cameo, and on the Schmodown coming soon to mess up Dan Merle's life.
All right. And I think you guys all know where to find us. Real quick before we do sign off, Mike, let us know who's coming on and what's going down next week.
Yeah, we got a fun one next week. So next week is going to be Valentine's Day week, and we're going to talk some bad dates, bad dating advice, bad couples, all things like that with Miss Kate Mulligan. So we're going to have some fun with that next week.
He knows a thing or two about bad dating advice.
I'm even more excited.
So we're super excited to have Kate on next week. And well, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for all the
Enjoy
donations.
the big game,
Jeff, thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Guys.
Squeeze it easy.
Cheers, everybody.